When he least expects it, a knife pierces Jamie Dimon. Betrayed by his closest friend and ally, he's left for dead, all in the name of power. For a time, he was Wall Street's golden boy, the one who could do no wrong. Together with Sandy Weill, they had built a monster, CitiGroup, the largest bank in the world at the time, worth a staggering $800 billion. Even more impressive, they'd built it effectively from scratch. Sandy was the seasoned veteran and Jamie the talented protege. Over more than a decade, the pair turned a small Freilander into a multinational conglomerate. Jamie's learned everything from Sandy, the tricks of the trade and the ruthlessness one needed to thrive in a dog-eat-dog world. Little did he know that following their greatest victory, that ruthlessness would fall on him.
You got a call to go up to a retreat they were having, and they got you in there and they said you're fired. Were you shocked?
Fast forward 10 years and America is in turmoil.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5%, 16%, 18%, 21%.
Because we're now down 43%.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
Greed has gotten the better of American finance, and now their reckoning is upon them. Titans, once thought untouchable, now teeter on the brink of collapse. For years, financial institutions have played fast and loose. Caught up in a wave of mortgage madness, Wall Street had become so blinded by profit that they'd forgotten to bring a life raft. As the grim reality sets in, so does widespread panic. While everyone scrambles to batten down the hatches, one man welcomes the coming crisis with open arms. Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P.Morgan Chase, can't help but smile because he knows that this is the moment he's waited for his entire life. No one knows it yet, but he's about to be crowned undisputed king of American banking.
You had better be a little tough in this world of ours because you will be criticized when you take jobs of leadership. I bleed J.P.Morgan blood. I wear the jersey of this company. If I caught you doing that, I'd fire you. You have to kill bureaucracy, cut across hierarchy. And that, by the way, is the hardest job you are going to face. Right there. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Jamie Dimon grows up with a silver spoon. Everything comes easy for the young boy and Jamie never wants for anything. He goes to a private all-boys high school called Browning. He even vacations on the west coast of France. In the lottery of life, he's hit the jackpot. Charming, confident, good-looking and affluent. Women want him. And men want to be him. Life is perfect. What more could one want? Usually, extravagant upbringings tend to breed spoiled, indulgent, trust fund brats. But Dimon has no intention of taking it easy. In fact, he rolls up his sleeves and gets to work. He graduates from Browning 4th best of his class. Then he goes to Tufts University, studying psychology and economics and graduating summa cum laude. And after Tufts, he gets into the highly acclaimed Harvard Business School. And when he graduates in 1982, he's named a Baker Scholar, an award for the top 5% of graduates. You see, Jamie Dimon is a rare breed. The kind that, even with more money than Escobar, they still work 80-hour weeks. He has a burning desire to succeed, an inexplicable urge to make a mark on the world, to leave a lasting legacy.
If you want to be a leader, it can't be about money, and it can't be about you. It's about eventually what you do what you leave behind and what you did when you walked the planet. Teachers, politicians, scientists, generals left this planet better than us, and someone said, and I'll tell you what I think about it, said, what would you want on your tombstone? Think about that when you become a leader. What do you want on your tombstone?
Those kinds of people, ones like Jamie Dimon, those are the people that shape the future. But first, we must visit the past. Jamie's grandfather came to America as a penniless immigrant. He had spent his entire life in Greece, but fled when the country became embroiled in war with Turkey. He left for greener pastures and in 1921 arrived in New York. Although a banker by trade, Jamie's grandfather simply took whatever work he could get, and so he became a restaurant busboy. But deep inside, he still wanted to be a banker. The problem was, back then, nobody wanted to hire Greeks. So he changed his last name from Papademetrio to something that sounded a little bit more fancy, Dimon. Luckily, he managed to maneuver back into banking. He started working as a broker for Shears & Hamel and made it big. His son and Jamie's father followed in his footsteps, working as a banker for Shears & Hamel too, and the fabricated Dimon name began to mean something. It would be Jamie that would make it famous though. Jamie Dimon was always fearless. He challenged Harvard lecturers. In one famous incident, he stood up in front of an entire class and told the lecturer, "If you don't understand this, you should probably not be teaching." While working his first job as a consultant, he was asked to work on a project throughout the weekend. He did it, no questions asked. But the following Monday, no one even bothered to look at it. So he faced his boss, telling him, "You ruined my weekend. Because of that, I will never work for you again." Although fiery and rebellious, Jamie diligently works towards his goal, and no one he vowed would get in his way. Although, as we shall soon see, many people will certainly try. Dimon is on the fast track to financial stardom. With a banking pedigree and history of academic success, he's flooded with job offers once he graduates. Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, and Morgan Stanley. Accepting any of these offers would be a golden ticket to the big leagues. A golden ticket so many students dream of, spending countless hours on Wall Street Oasis forums, debating all things relevant regarding finance careers. Some of you know that I think Wall Street Oasis courses are the best way to get into a finance career, and this is why I teamed up with them. Their elite modeling package is the best thing that could happen to any numbers noob. Not only will you learn how to excel like a young Jamie Dimon, but also how to build an LBO like Henry Krevis, how to do M&A modeling, how to do valuations, and most of my mentees in the Giga Uni that want to go for IB prepare with the investment banking interview prep course by Wall Street Oasis. They show you exactly how to nail the technical interview questions, how to not come off like a psychopath in behavioral fit interviews, and how to answer the question, why Credit Suisse or any other bank. Needless to say, some of them are now working at Blackstone, Goldman, JP, or Citi. And the best thing, now you get 77% off. Huge W. Click the link in the description and treat this as an investment into your future. Because from there, it's easy. You join a big bank, work your way up, and eventually make partner. Safe, predictable, and boring. Just as Jamie's about to choose Goldman, he gets one last offer from an old family friend, Sandy Weill.
Sandy I got to know him a little bit. My dad was a broker at Shears & Hamel. I'd had a summer job there. He liked the fact I went to Harvard Business School, and his pitch was this: I'm not going to pay you the same. He'd try to hire me as an investment banker at Shearson.
You see, no one understands banking better than Sandy. Descended from immigrants himself, Sandy has developed a reputation as a ferocious banker, one to be feared as much as respected. Over the course of years, he has built the second largest brokerage firm from the ground up. Remember Shears & Hamel? The firm that Dimon's father and grandfather work at? Sandy built the business that owns them. With a flurry of strategic acquisitions, Shearson was put on the map as a serious player, and Sandy was the mastermind. Then, in 1981, Sandy did the unthinkable. He orchestrated a billion-dollar merger with Shearson and American Express, forming the juggernaut, Shearson American Express.
Minds over money.
Sandy was a force of nature, practically unstoppable, and now the chairman of this new enterprise. After the merger, Sandy makes Dimon's dad vice president in the new company. Then he turns to Jamie.
But he said, come join me here. I don't know what it's going to be, but at least you'll see what a big company works like. What I loved about, first of all, he was very down to earth. I mean, there are flaws in the man, but he's very down to earth. And I really wanted to help build something. I mean, that was my initial thing. Like, I want to build something. He had built Shears & Hamel from the, Shears & Hayden Stone. A lot of acquisitions kind of from the ground up. I love that kind of story.
Every single Harvard graduate would have gone with Goldman.
I basically politely told him no, because you just learn so much more, and you get paid more at some place like Goldman Sachs.
But there's something about Sandy, a glint in his eyes, a confidence in his walk. So Jamie takes a gamble. He takes a step of the well-trodden path to success, and for better or worse, teams up with Sandy. Little does he know, this small action will change the fate of American banking forever. The Wonder Duo's ride at American Express is short and not so sweet. Jamie is having the time of his life, while his banking chimp peers fetch coffee and newspapers for their bosses. Sandy shows Jamie the works. At the age of 23, Jamie is given a rare look into the heart of banking, and he gets to work on deals. Real life, actual deals. Tectonic company mergers and acquisitions so large they're dizzying. The bread and butter of empire building. Sandy, in return, has finally found a protege that can keep up. Jamie's a natural. Hell, Sandy even sees a little bit of himself in the young boy. Dimon has a fancy new title, responsibilities, and he's soaking up Sandy's teachings like a sponge. That is, until 1985, when Sandy, who seemed like he could do no wrong, was finally beaten. The merger with American Express had proven to be poisonous. Sandy is ousted by the company and forced to resign, but American Express allows Jamie to stay. In fact, they sweeten the deal with a promotion, vice president. It's a big offer, unheard of for someone Jamie's age. Taking it would mean one step closer to his goal, and his mentor's recent defeat brings up questions. Is Sandy's decade-long career of winning finally over? Now 52 years old, is the old pit bull nothing but a washed-up hack? While staying at American Express seems obvious to everyone else, Jamie's faith is unwavering. He thinks Sandy still got it.
When he left, I left with him. I was offered a bunch of jobs to stay and stuff like that, but he said, we're going to find something, build something great.
So he walks away from American Express and follows his mentor out the door, not knowing what's waiting for him around the corner. Jamie walks away from American Express and he doesn't look back. They were going to build an empire. First item of business is, well, getting one. To conquer the world, they first need to get their hands on something, a business they could start with and build up. They need a bargain. Jamie thinks that hidden somewhere is something no one has seen before, a powerhouse of a company everyone has overlooked. So he pours over prospective companies to buy. Sandy, meanwhile, follows a couple leads, crumbs of potential deals here and there. But every time he goes to investigate them, he comes home empty. No matter how slim the odds, they are going to make this work. They have to. This goes on for more than a year, however, with nothing to show for it. That's when worry turns to panic. Everyone had told Jamie that he should have stayed at American Express. How could he have been so stupid? He thought Sandy was going to lead him to the promised land, and now it looks like he's followed him to the end of the earth, or at least the ends of his career. And that, my friends, is when the phone rings. In the 1980s, computer giant Control Data starts suffering huge losses year after year like blows to the head. Nestled within Control Data is another company called Commercial Credit. Originally, it was created to support computer sales. By allowing customers access to credit, more people would buy computers. It has evolved since its creation. Now it's made a name for itself as the lender that will lend to almost anyone. Unlike its parent Control Data, Commercial Credit is profitable. But as the firm's treasurer explains on the phone to Sandy and Jamie, if Control Data sinks to a watery grave, it will drag Commercial Credit with it. But the treasurer also explains correctly there's an opportunity here. Because Commercial Credit is a good business, it can stand on its own 2 feet if given the chance. At first, Sandy's hesitant, but Dimon pours over the numbers and he finds that the firm is actually a diamond in the rough. Get it? Diamond in the rough? Anyways, Commercial Credit's poorly run, full of inefficiencies and inflated operating costs. The cash-distressed Control Data is happy to make a deal, and the Wonder Duo buys their company. The deal barely makes a ripple in the financial markets. A couple newspapers print a few lousy sentences on it. Compared to the blockbuster deals happening in the 1980s, Commercial Credit is a footnote, but a new chapter is about to begin.
When you set out at Commercial Credit,
Jamie Dimon was your then assistant, and
Correct.
Did you believe that you could put together deals that would lead to the largest financial services company in the world?
Obviously not. If I believed that, I would have been taking something.
Sandy is appointed CEO of Commercial Credit, and Jamie's loyalty is rewarded as he is made Senior Vice President. Heck, it's no American Express, but it's theirs, and it's theirs alone. And while congratulations are in order, celebrations are put on hold. Commercial Credit is bleeding money by the minute. Together with his protege, Sandy Weill readies to give a masterclass in turning a company around.
Well, I think first when we started with Commercial Credit, it was an undermanaged company, so it wasn't very hard for us to look at the expenses, get out of some businesses that made no sense, and emphasize the consumer lending business, which was a very good business.
First, they slash costs, firing more than 10% of the employees and cutting executive benefits like company cars and newspaper subscriptions to the bone. In a trademark Sandy move, he changes employee incentives. Previously, bonuses were distributed pretty much equally. Now, the best performing branch would get double their salaries as a bonus, and the worst performer would get nothing. Sandy also leads the charge in assembling the A-team for the company, advertising Commercial Credit as a retreat from the bureaucracy and office politics that plague other firms. Does it work? It does. Their first year, Commercial Credit rakes in $100 million and they more than double return on equity. Commercial Credit is running like a Swiss watch. That is, step 1 complete. They have a launch pad to build the empire the two always dreamed of, and Sandy has the experience. Now, it's time for step 2, expand.
Basically, what we did was look to grow the company a step at a time. And you never know, what's going to be down the road. But if you run a very good business in good times, then you're going to be in a position to take advantage of things when they change.
And so, Commercial Credit begins hoarding cash and prepares. The men pray for rain, and then comes thunder. On Monday, the 19th October 1987, a streak of lightning strikes the heart of Wall Street. Black Monday.
There was guys with their heads down, a few people crying because they'd lost everything.
Well, you're thinking, how much lower can it go?
It was the only time I've seen fear take over greed.
I've often said that it was the most frightening moment in my life.
While the markets are in turmoil, Sandy and Jamie can't believe their luck. With nothing in their way, Commercial Credit goes on a rampage.
We were opportunistic deal guys who ran businesses. But that little company bought Primerica, Smith Barney, Shearson, Solomon, Travelers Property Casualty, and it went from being worth $800 million to $75 billion.
It's 1998. After a more than decade-long spree of gobbling up company after company, Commercial Credit has transformed into something unrecognizable. In fact, it's not even Commercial Credit anymore. It's Travelers Group, named after one of the companies they bought out. In the largest corporate deal ever, Travelers Group and CitiGroup, another huge company, merged to become a Goliath named CitiGroup. CitiGroup is staggering in its sheer size. It will have $700 billion worth of assets, 100 million customers in over 100 countries. By total assets, it's the biggest bank in the world, dubbed the first true global financial supermarket. Furthermore, it's the 17th largest company in the world. Total dominance. CitiGroup has a chokehold on American banking and rules with an iron fist. Soon after the merger, Sandy calls Dimon into his office. For 12 years, Dimon has sharpened his abilities and built his own reputation as an enforcer. As Commercial Credit rose, Dimon ascended with it. He was promoted again and again, from CFO to CAO to director. After their greatest success yet, Jamie expects one more promotion.
I guess Sandy went to John Reed, who was then the CEO of CitiGroup, and said, let's have a merger, co-CEOs. And John Reed said, okay. And you were going to be the president under the two of them.
Instead, Jamie hears words that will haunt him.
And they said to me, well, we've made some decisions. We want to share them with you. And I said, yes. And they said, well, we're going to have this person run the Global Corporate Investment Bank. And so that's kind of my job, but I was shocked who it was. They said, we're going to have this person do this, and we want you to resign.
A 15-year-long mentorship, 15 years of Dimon and Sandy against the world, put to an end in an afternoon.
He had no warning.
Not much.
Rumors spread. Why had Sandy fired Jamie? Some speculated that it was because Jamie hadn't promoted Sandy's daughter, or, as some cynics hint, Sandy began to feel threatened by Jamie's tremendous rise within the company.
Some said you were jealous of the fact that he was getting a lot of the credit, that you were the guy who would think up the deal and he was the guy that would make it happen.
Or Jamie's outspoken complaints about the merger.
I said to him, "You guys are crazy. This will destroy the company. The second you do this, people are going to be building trenches and stockpiling ammunition. By the time you two guys figure it out, a lot of good people have left the company, not realizing I'd be the first casualty, by the way. But they were so, and they kept on saying, well, it works for me, it works for me. And I kept on saying, it doesn't matter if it works for you. It matters if it works for the clients and the employees."
Either way, Jamie storms home, his face burning in fury. It's the turn of a new millennia. While some people party and others light fireworks, Jamie Dimon broods. Jamie's been unemployed for more than a year since CitiGroup, not due to lack of interest. He's received plenty of offers, Amazon, Home Depot, but he wants back in the banking game. When one door closes, another opens. Bank One, a Midwest giant and the 5th largest bank in America, is in dire straits. Following a slew of acquisitions and years of rapid growth, Bank One has hit a brick wall. They grew too quick, and now the countless companies in their ranks are beginning to sour. Their share price tumbles on the back of consecutive losses. CEO John McCoy, unable to rectify the situation, is booted. Leaderless, Bank One drifts. The board spots that Jamie is exactly what it needs. The man that will do the hard, necessary thing. Bank One has grown fat and comfortable at the top. It needs someone that will hold its feet to the fire and whip it into shape. Jamie the Enforcer doesn't let the opportunity slip by and becomes Bank One's CEO. When he announces it, he says, quote, "We will give CitiGroup a run for its money."
I wear the damn jersey. I'm not a hired gun. Okay, I'm going to bleed for the company and give it everything I got and hand it off to someone else.
True to his word, Jamie's first action is to buy 2 million shares of the bank. It's all or nothing now. Taking a page out of the Sandy playbook, Jamie comes swinging straight out of the gate. In an effort to cut costs to the bone, Jamie channels his inner Carl Icahn, whom we have also a video of, by the way, and sacks 12,000 employees. He brings talent from CitiGroup, people he trusts, and changes bonus structure just like before. The best get everything and the worst get nothing. Finally, he turns his attention to management.
The board didn't want to make the changes, the management didn't want to make the changes. As a matter of fact, the management said, it wasn't my fault. I don't know who else's fault it was. At one point, I cut the size of the board. I went to the management team. We cut the 100% of their bonuses the first year. We took away their pension plans, their cars, their clubs. I made a lot of them go with me to every site. We're laying off people and say, we're sorry that we put you in a position that we have to lay off people at this company.
By 2003, Jamie Dimon's no-nonsense approach appears to have worked. $3 billion in costs have been cut, and the share price has gone up 60%. Still, Jamie has a long way to go if he wants to unseat CitiGroup as the biggest bank in America. After decades of mergers and buyouts, American banking is consolidating into the hands of a few companies. Jamie Dimon has successfully turned Bank One around, thus making the once radioactive bank an attractive acquisition target. An even more valuable target? Jamie Dimon himself. His powerful ability to lead and take decisive action has drawn the attention of William Harrison, J.P.Morgan Chase's CEO. William has been a fantastic leader for J.P.Morgan, but at 61, his age is starting to take a toll. In the hunt for a successor, Jamie Dimon stands out. Therefore, making a calculated move, J.P.Morgan buys Bank One and Jamie Dimon. It's not long before William steps down and Jamie takes the reins of J.P.Morgan, now America's second biggest bank, right behind CitiGroup. But that's all about to change as Wall Street sleepwalks into the jaws of 2008. the year that changes everything.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5%, 16%, 18%, 21%.
Because we're now down 43%.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
The next morning, you wake up and you do a conference call.
No, it was that night.
It was that night.
I think I was driving home. I called up my whole operating committee. I told them we're about to have a catastrophe take place. All hands on deck the next day. So I think on Saturday, everyone was at work. We had workforces and teams going through every single part of our exposures, every single part of which we've been through before. And I think I called my board that Saturday, and said, we have a national emergency.
Home loans, what had once been a gold rush, had now become a ticking time bomb. The first on the chopping block? Bear Stearns. Although the CEO James Kane reassured the public not once, not twice, but numerous times that the bank was as solid as a rock, everyone could see the smoke. And where there's smoke, there's fire. Bear Stearns traded at $170 a share the previous year. It now trades below $100. At first, everyone shrugged their shoulders. So what if Stearns goes up in flames? Serves them right. You play with fire, you're going to get burnt. But after some analysis, if Bear Stearns goes under, it would have a massive blowback to American finance. Infamously too big to fail. The Fed throws Stearns a 48-hour lifeline, $25 billion. If they don't make it through the weekend though, it's over. At this point, people start worrying about the other financial institutions.
I said, and it's very possible throughout the rest of this week, you're talking about Goldman, Morgan, Bank of America. I'm pretty sure AIG is not going to make it because we had already been working on that.
Upon closer inspection, most banks were bleeding. With so much blood in the water, one could hardly see the shark coming. J.P.Morgan Chase. In the midst of a panic, J.P.Morgan was cool and collected.
We had a lot more capital than everybody. I'm a very conservative person. Okay, we had a lot of liquidity. To give you an example, I've got how much? I'm going to say 100 billion. I mean, sitting in a bit, literally sitting around.
Jamie had harped on for years about the need for a fortress balance sheet, while his competitors, including CitiGroup, had taken on far more exposure to the housing market than they ought to, and now raced to batten down the hatches. J.P.Morgan was ready for anything. And just like Jamie had pounced on Black Monday, he intended to capitalize on this crisis as well. As people began to truly understand the gravity of the situation, Bear Stearns' share price collapsed even more. The writing was on the wall. In a merger described as a shotgun marriage, Jamie managed to buy Bear out for $2 a share, a tiny fraction of what it was once worth.
Then how did you come at $2 a share? Just because of that?
No, the $2, remember, it's hard to give an example, but I tell people buying a house and buying a house on fire are two different things.
Hell, it was so easy, the government even helped him buy out Bear Stearns. After that, when Washington Mutual faced financial trouble, well, J.P.Morgan scooped them up for a bargain as well. Meanwhile, J.P.Morgan's competitors imploded one after the other.
Just to the point, though, on the collateral, because there are Lehman people who say J.P.Morgan, they took they were asking for too much money at a time when we were...
They're ignorant. People were asking for more collateral everywhere.
Lehman Brothers, Morgan Stanley, Goldman, but most satisfying of all, CitiGroup. They would spend years picking up the pieces.
The money was flowing into J.P.Morgan.
He had done it. Jamie Dimon finally had the satisfaction of seeing J.P.Morgan Chase becoming the largest bank in America. In an ironic twist of fate, conservative Dimon would later make a $2 billion blunder on a way too risky trade. With time, however, it blew over, just like his feud with Sandy Weill. And still to this day, Jamie Dimon is at the helm of J.P.Morgan Chase, now the largest bank in the world, one of the few bank CEOs that survived 2008. He's made a fortune over his career and is actually a billionaire. But it was never about the money for Jamie, it was about the legacy. So how does Jamie Dimon want to be remembered?
I hope people say, we're going to miss the SOB, and the world is a better place from having been here.